So I thought I'd start off by saying thank you to everyone that watched my birth video. As you can probably guess, I was really nervous to post. What day? As you can probably tell, I was really nervous to post that video. Like, I was so scared when it went up because obviously it didn't go to plan. I didn't respond to labour as I wanted to, like, be. I wasn't how I wanted to be in labour, basically. So like showing everyone how I actually was like quite a scary thing for me to do. But I did it, and everyone's been so lovely, messaging me, being really nice about it, which I really appreciate. And yes, I just want to say like a massive thank you first of all. And I can't believe it's got 2,000 views already. That's really good for me, so thank you. Are you going to say thank you? Did everyone watch you come into the world? Did everyone watch you come into the world? Is it funny? So today I thought I'd just sort of do like an overview of my birth video, because obviously if you watched it you sort of know what happened, but I just want to sort of explain a little bit more, because I don't think it's some parts of the video are clear to what's happening or what happened, why I was induced, why I had forceps delivery, all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to explain that in this video, just so it's like clear, and hopefully I can give a little bit of advice to mums to be, or people that are about to have a baby. Or yeah, I've also got like a few questions to answer. I put on my Instagram postnatal question box, so I only got like 4 questions, but I'll answer those in this video as well. So I've just got Quincy next to me. You can see him, I'll show you. Are you in your cot? You don't sleep in here, but you're just sitting on your cot. Hello. So he is 9 weeks old tomorrow. My videos are a bit backwards, obviously I have to catch up with editing and stuff. I want to spend as much time as possible with him for the first few weeks, so everything is a bit backdated. This is in real time. I know this video is going up a bit later, and I normally post every Tuesday. This is going up on a Thursday, which is a bit late, isn't it? But I've had a hectic week. So anyway, I don't know where to start really. I'll start off with my birth story and I'll answer the questions at the end. So what happened? So if you've watched my maternity leave, like preparing for the birth video, you'll know like at the end of the video I said I had a midwife appointment, and I ended the vlog there annoyingly because I just thought it would be a routine sort of checkup. At the appointment, it was my 38-week appointment, but at the appointment I was 38 weeks and 5 days. So I'm actually gonna die. Sorry, my camera died. Shock. What was I saying? So yeah, on that end of that video I was going to a midwife appointment, and I was 38 weeks and 5 days. So anyway, I went to the appointment, everything was looking fine with my observations, like my blood pressure and stuff like that. And then it came to measuring my bump, which is what they do from about 28 weeks I think. And measured my bump, and the midwife, got another midwife to come in and measure it, and they said that it was measuring the same as oh my god, I can't speak, the same as what it measured 3 or 4 weeks ago, which is weird because it was at, I think it was at 35 centimetres, and it went to 37 centimetres, and then it went back to 35 centimetres. So obviously there were a bit of discrepancy with the measurements. Anyway, because of the size of my bump, they believed that baby growth had tailed. So that was on Monday. So on Monday the midwife rang Halifax to get me an emergency scan, just to check baby's growth and everything. So then on Tuesday afternoon, I think about 1 o'clock, me and Jemima went to the scan. And obviously I was a bit stressed out because they were a bit concerned. This was the second growth scan that I'd been to. The first growth scan I'd been to, baby was measuring absolutely fine. And it was actually accurate, the first growth scan that I had, because they predicted his birth weight to be what it actually would have been if he was 40 weeks. So anyway, went to the growth scan on the Tuesday. I came out the growth scan and we waited for a doctor to come and speak to us. And when they were doing the scan, I could see there was quite a lot of fluid in my belly on the scan. That's something I noticed anyway. So after the scan, we was in the waiting room, and a midwife comes and takes us into a room, and I knew what she was going to tell us wasn't good, basically. Right, the lighting has just gone off, so I hope the lighting's still okay. I'll be quick before it gets dark. So, the midwife took us into a private room, and she basically told me that baby was measuring a little bit small, and that I had too much fluid in my belly. So basically I needed to be induced. So as soon as I heard the word I needed to be induced, I thought, oh my god, like, this is like, honestly, the whole time I was pregnant, the only thing I didn't want was an induction. I just really didn't want to be induced for loads of reasons. So anyway, obviously when she said that to me, I just thought, right, this is just great. Like, I went into full-on panic mode. So I was like, right, okay, when do you want me to be induced? Thinking it'd be like 5 days to a week, because I was 39 weeks on this day. And I was 39 weeks the next day. So I was 38 and 6 days. And he was like, oh, we want to induce. Yeah? So they said they wanted to induce me. They was like, oh, we would like to book you in for tomorrow if possible. And I was like, tomorrow? And she was like, yeah. She's like, I know it's a shock. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And it's funny because when you get to the end of your pregnancy, all you're thinking is, oh my god, when is my water's going to break? When am I going to go into labour? Get this baby out of me. But then when you're told that you're going to have a baby, or that you're going to be induced the next day, you just like, I was literally just like, oh my god, like, I am not ready at all. Or even though I was ready, like, at home and stuff. So anyway, that was that. So the whole way home, cried, got home, cried, filmed the bump cast that night. So when we filmed the bump cast, I knew that I was being induced the next day, which is why I'm so sort of like all over the place in that video. Anyway, got home, literally got his hospital bag out, made sure everything was ready, and then it was just a matter of time to wait for the call to be called in to go be induced. So as you can imagine, I did not get much sleep. I was just like laying in bed all night thinking, oh my god, I might have a baby tomorrow, I might have a baby. I knew I was gonna have my baby like tomorrow or the day after. So it was just like, it was just a really weird feeling. So about 6 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from the hospital, which was way earlier than I imagined it to be. And it was like, oh, we've got a bed for you, do you want to come in? And I was like, well, yeah, well, obviously I'm going to come in. So I got shot up out of bed. I was like, Jemima, wake up, they've got a bed for me. Got a bath, prepped on, obviously, what you're going to do before you have a baby. And I was honestly rushing around the house like a mad hatter. And I was just so stressed out. So about 8 o'clock, my mum turns up because she took us to hospital. Get in the car, and the whole way in the car, I'm just sat there, I'm crying. Like, like I wasn't blubbing, but like, tears rolling down my face. I was getting like stressed. There was traffic and stuff. It was just awful. So the start of my vlog started here when I was on the way to hospital. I should have started it the night before really, because I knew I was getting induced, but my head was just all over the place. Hello. So get to hospital, they taught me all through the procedure, blah blah blah. So the first thing they say is, alright, we're gonna monitor you for half an hour and then we'll insert the pessary. She was like, we'll give the pessary 24 hours just to give it a chance to work, and then if that doesn't work, we'll break your waters or put you on the hormone drip. So that was the plan basically. So I thought, oh, they gave me like a 24-hour time frame, like it's fine, I have ages sort of thing. That's what I thought. So they put the pessary in at about, I'd say about 9:30. So once the pessary was in, me and Jemima walked down to the cafe in the hospital. And we were sat there. I couldn't eat because I just didn't feel like eating. But Jemima had, I think he just had a coffee or something. So we were sat there just like talking. Because Jemima only had 2 hours before we had to leave. So we just like sat with each other. And then I started getting these pains. I'm like, oh god, like I'm cramping. Like I thought it was normal because obviously I was had something put up there with hormones in it. So I thought it was normal. So I was cramping anyway. They started like coming in waves, and I thought, Jemima, I think I'm contracting. He was like, you're not, like she's just literally just put it in. I was like, no, I am. So I got my what's it called? I had an app that did my contraction, the time of contractions, and like it was like really calm. It had a woman talking to you. What was it called now? It began with the F. Freya, that's what it's called. I'll just pick Quincy up because it's getting a bit bored, aren't you? I was definitely having contractions, so I thought, right, I need to go back to the ward. So we went back to the ward, and it was time for Jemiah to go, but before he went, he just went and told the midwife what was going on. So the midwife came and checked, and she said, you're contracting, it's good, so let's just see how you go. Anyway, within half an hour, I was contracting every minute, so like, it was so painful and intense, and I thought, this can't be right. So again, I called the midwife in. She came and sat with me for 5 minutes just to monitor how often I was contracting, and she said she was going to have to take the pessary out because basically I was hyperstimulating, which means I was very sensitive to the pessary, which I knew I would be anyway because I'm really sensitive to contraception as well. I've got to be really careful what I have contraception wise. Just putting hormones in my body, I just react really badly. So yeah, I was hyperstimulating, which means my uterus was like freaking out and contracting too much, which is, that's stressful for the baby as well. So she took it out, and when she took the pessary out, I was 1 centimetre dilated, so I'd started dilating straight away from that pessary. So she was like, right, let's just see how you go without it. It might have started off labour, or we might need to just give you a break from it and then basically see how I went. So time went on, and I carried on contracting, which is good, but it meant my body was sort of going into labour on its own. The pessary just sort of kick-started it all. So I was regularly contracting about every 5 minutes, from about 12 o'clock afternoon to about 6 o'clock, to when the pattern changed. I tried to eat and I was sick because I had codeine and paracetamol to help me deal with the contractions. With an induction, contractions can be more painful, I've heard, so I don't know how I'd be if I weren't induced. So yeah, I was contracting from about 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That's when the contractions started coming quite regularly, about every 2 minutes. So I had a hot bath, as you saw, just tried to sort of relieve the pain. It got to about 10 o'clock and it was every minute, and I thought, something ain't right, like it's getting stronger. I felt more pressure, I felt in more pain, I was getting hot, like the whole dynamic sort of just changed. So I said to the midwife, I said, please examine me, like I feel like I must be like more dilated, because the last time they examined me I was still 1 centimetre, so I thought, God, I must be more now. So she checked me at 10 o'clock and I was still 1 centimetre, but it didn't really mean much because my cervix was effacing, like softening. So I didn't really understand, but dilation don't really mean a lot because you can go from one end to the other really fast, which is what happened with me in the end. Or some people just dilate steadily until they're going like into established labour. So anyway, I was still 1 centimetre, so I was really disheartened, but I was in a lot of pain, and because I've been in a lot of pain for a while, they said, we're going to take you down to delivery ward to break your waters. So I rang my mum to bring Jemiah back. Jemiah came back and we went straight down to the delivery ward at about 10 o'clock. Again, the contractions were regular, kept coming about every minute or so. About half an hour after I got down to the delivery ward, the contractions started being really strong, so I'd asked for the gassonet to be put next to me just because I knew it would get into that stage. I didn't go on gassonet until my waters broke. I think I was managing them quite well until my waters broke. So anyway, that was happening. The doctor came in, said that I'm contracting well, said I'm contracting a lot, but he said obviously that's obviously like normal, but there was a bit concerned of how regularly I was contracting, but it wasn't like an emergency or anything like that. So I got on the birth ball just to stay active through my contractions, and I was managing the contractions on the birth ball. Baby's heart rate was dipping at this point as well, but it wasn't obviously like a severe thing. I keep saying baby, I couldn't say. His heart rate was dipping, so they didn't know if it was because I was dehydrated, so they put me on a drip just to help his heart rate, which I think it did initially, but anyway. So I was on the birth ball, and all of a sudden I just felt like this balloon in my belly popped. So I bent over because I thought I was about to have a really painful contraction. And I'm annoyed. There's bits that we didn't film which I'm annoyed. I wish I got this bit because we was literally laughing and giggling. Oh no, let me tell you, I'm doing it backwards. So I was sat in the birth ball, a balloon like in my belly popped, that's what it felt like, and then I just felt this warm fluid come out of me. and I was like, oh my god, I think my waters have just gone. And it felt like a contraction were coming, but then my waters popped and the contraction went. It was really weird. So that happened, and I was like, oh my god, my waters are broken. That means I didn't have to have them broke, because they broke naturally. So I was really happy about that. So because of how I reacted, me and the midwives and Jemiah was all laughing when my waters broke for about 30 seconds. Then all of a sudden I got this, and I said, Jemiah, put the camera on, because my waters had broke. And then all of a sudden the contractions were just, oh my god, they were so intense to the point where I couldn't even catch my breath. Like, I would not let go of that gas in air, you could see. I was just puffing on it so hard, it was just unbelievable. But the pain, it just came so intense. My back was just like throbbing. All the pain was in my back because baby was in an awkward position. So between contractions as well, I was still in quite a lot of pain because the pain didn't really ease off. It just got worse in the contractions. So obviously you saw that. Anyway, they wanted to check me. When they did get to examine me after my waters broke, I was 3 centimetres dilated. So they got me on the bed. I asked for pethidine. I got pethidine about 40 minutes after, because I was in so much pain I couldn't let them examine me. But eventually I got the pethidine. It didn't really do anything except make me sick. Didn't take the pain away at all. I don't even know if it had kicked in. But anyway, that happened. Eventually I gained control of my contractions, and I just sat there sort of breathing through them with a gas in air. I was sick, and I kept saying, I need the epidural, please give me the epidural. I did not want to have the epidural. I was against the epidural. I did not want it, but trust me, when you're in, well, some people don't need it, but I really, really wanted it. So I was asking for it, and because she'd only checked me about half an hour before I asked for it, she was like, no, you're not in established labour. Established labour is when you're 4+ centimetres. She was like, you're not in established labour yet. Like, she didn't believe that I could have been. But with the time frame that he was born, I would have been about 6 to 8 centimetres at the time I asked for the epidural. And she was like, no, you're not in established labour. So they didn't give it me because of that. But I actually was in established labour. So when it's like, I'm being dramatic in the video, I'm not. I was in established labour, but the midwives didn't think I was, because the last time they checked me, which wasn't too long ago, I was 3 centimetres. So anyway, I was just dealing with it, and then at about 2:20, I said I need to push, and the midwife was like, do you? And this is when the camera stopped, and she checked me, and she looked at the midwife and she went, oh, there's fresh blood. So obviously she was thinking, oh my god, like, I've just told her she's not in established labour, this and that. And I was, obviously, I said I needed to push. And honestly, when that feeling that you're having contractions all day, and then when you get that feeling of needing to push, it's like, oh my god, the baby's coming. Like, and Jemiah's like, she's saying she needs to push. Blessing, his face dropped when I said I needed to push. So she said this to push fresh blood, and she said, right, that's fine. Anyway, when I was saying I needed to push, I can't remember it like clearly, but from what the midwife explained to me after birth, you could hear the alarm going off, and his heart rate was dropping quite dramatically and quite often, which is because he's cord around his neck. But at the time I didn't know this. Well, the midwife might have, I don't know. Anyway, she didn't say that to me. His heart rate was dropping anyway, because the contractions were obviously squeezing it. They were so regular and they were really intense, and they lasted for quite a long time, so that was putting him under a lot of stress. So his heart rate were dropping, and she couldn't get it back up. She turned me on my side, tried different things, and she couldn't. So she did the crash call, and about 10 midwives and doctors and nurses, or whoever it was, came in, put all the lights on, and it was a bit of a panic from there. I was sort of like woozy, but I remember Jemiah sort of grabbing me and saying, listen, Alesha, like, his heart rate's dropping, please just like come around, get off the gas in there, like push. Like, he was just sort of like trying to like just, you know, help me like do it, sort of thing, because I was tired at this point. So okay, baby. So yeah, the doctor was like, push. So I did like I think I did 3 pushes without forceps, and pushing didn't hurt me. Like, that was like the easiest part. It didn't hurt at all. Obviously a few pushes did hurt, and when his head got crowning, that hurt. But like the pushing part was probably the easiest part. But because his heart rate was dropping, and because I couldn't only push as fast as my body will push, He needed the forceps to pull the baby further for when I was pushing, so he'd come out faster. So when he told me I had to have forceps, I panicked again because I didn't want forceps. I've seen things with like babies being hurt with forceps, and I thought the worst in that moment, which I shouldn't have. And I was like, please don't hurt my baby. So I was just his little head, like the metal, like the metal spoons that go around his head to pull him out, and I just thought, God, please just don't hurt him. That's the only thing I was bothered about, really. So they put the forceps in, and then that first push with the forceps, obviously you saw I was screaming in agony because you're pushing the baby out, and then the head was obviously like coming out, which is the most painful part, and then the doctor's putting all of his body weight on these forceps that are around your baby's head, pulling, so the pressure is massive, like the pressure is so painful. So that's why I was screaming so much, so I just want to say that as well, because I think I did quite well with the pushing before the forceps were put in. And the last push I didn't have the forceps in, and I wasn't making any noise at all except a little bit of groaning, but you can't help that because your body just literally does it. So yeah, when the head came out, the cord was wrapped around his neck twice, and the doctor sort of was saying to me, like, you need to push if you want a healthy baby, because obviously if they don't have oxygen for a long amount of time, they can have like disabilities when they're born, or they can die. Basically, obviously, if their oxygen's cut off for too long, the baby can stop breathing. So it was quite like, I just sort of like was just like, I wasn't really taking in what was happening. But I did see like on the midwife's faces they did look worried, which sort of obviously made me a bit worried. And it was a bit of a panic when everyone was in the room. So when he was out, so then his head were out, and there was one more push. The doctor let me push on my own for the last push, because I think I was quite good at pushing, if I'm being honest. So I did a push. Oh, before they put the forceps in, they did a episiotomy, which is they cut me from where he was down to my bum, into my bum cheek. That's where they cut me to put the forceps in and get them in around his head. So that's why it was so painful when I was pushing them, because I had this big slit. I was cut open basically, and then I was pushing out of a wound, and forceps were in there as well. So that's why it was so painful at that point. Then his head was out, and I did the last push on my own, and he came out. As you, I don't know if you could have told, realised, but when he came out, he didn't cry like straight away. He sort of needed to be rubbed and ruffled around a bit. So he was in a bit of shock, and you were a bit purpley, weren't you? But you was fine. And then he started crying on his own, which was just, as soon as I heard that cry, I just sort of like, I was like thank God he's okay, because that was the only worry in the room really. I was fine. So yeah, he came out healthy, and then I just had to get, after birth I had to get stitched in and get them in around his head. So that's why it was so painful when I was pushing them, because I had this big slit. I was cut open basically, and then I was pushing out of a wound, and forceps were in there as well. So that's why it was so painful at that point. Then his head was out, and I did the last push on my own, and he came out. As you, I don't know if you could have told, realised, but when he came out, he didn't cry like straight away. He sort of needed to be rubbed and ruffled around a bit. So he was in a bit of shock, and you were a bit purpley, weren't you? But you was fine. And then he started crying on his own, which was just, as soon as I heard that cry, I just sort of like, I was like thank God he's okay, because that was the only worry in the room really. I was fine. So yeah, he came out healthy, and then I just had to get, after birth I had to get stitched, my episiotomy, I had to get stitched up, so Jemiah had to take him, and then because it all happened in like the space of an hour, I went from 3 centimetres to fully dilated and pushing within an hour. It was just like, oh my God, like that just happened so fast, and it was so fast and intense. To dilate that much in such a short amount of time is just crazy. So So yeah, that's what happened. Do you follow this one asleep, bless him. So yeah, he was put on my chest, and I don't know if you can tell, I was in complete shock after birth. I don't think I came round for 5 hours after I had him. I was like conscious and stuff, but I just couldn't do, like, I was in shock. Like it was very traumatic, the birth, because obviously thank God he was healthy, but it could have been it could have gone the other way, and just the thought of that just really scared me. And honestly, like, my heart goes out to anyone that's gone through anything like that. I'm just so grateful, and I count my blessings every day that he was born healthily and he was okay. He didn't really show that side of it in the birth vlog. You just saw like what was going on. He missed a few bits out. So that's why I just wanted to sort of explain what happened. So yeah, after birth recovery was rough. If you've had an episiotomy and forceps, you'll know, like, I couldn't walk for nearly 2 weeks properly. I was so sore. I was sleeping on the couch sat up because I couldn't lay down. I was in that much pain. But yeah, it was rough. So yeah, after birth I was, oh baby, you okay? I was in like complete shock, and the student midwife, I'd still need to send the card, was absolutely amazing. I could not recommend like to have a student in there enough, because I just feel like I don't know, but I think the student midwives were absolutely amazing. After I had Quincy, I was like being violently sick, so every time I was wrenching to be sick, I hemorrhaged. So I was squirting out blood every time I was sick after birth, and I was so weak. And then when you first stand up after you've had a baby, it's the weirdest feeling, like having this big bump, and you just feel like you're going to just collapse on the floor. I was really faint because I lost a lot of blood. So the time I lost all my, so after birth, the student midwife, bless her, she walked me to the shower, and the midwife just, I sat on a chair and the midwife just washed me in the shower while I just sat there, and I was just like sort of staring into space. And I just remember thinking, like, what just happened? Like, what just actually happened? And I'm just sat there naked while they're just washing me. Like, your dignity just goes out the window, so I just don't care about any of that. They see it every day. So yeah, I was just sat where they was washing me, and then Jemima had to go, which were a bit rubbish, because I was just in the room with baby, with Quincy, and I was in so much shock of what had just happened, and I sort of needed someone to be there with me. I felt like just to be there. I didn't even need to speak to anyone. I just wanted to, I was just on my own after, and it wasn't nice. But that was the rules with COVID and whatever, so anyway. But yeah, he's here now. And that's sort of just how it happened. I just wanted to like explain it. I didn't think the birth vlog explained sort of what happened in as much detail, or the extent to things. So yeah, that is my birth story and experience. I would do it. As soon as I had Quincy, I was like, me and Jemima looked at each other and was like, never again. But now I've got him, I'd do it 1,000 times over, because it's so worth it. And I just love him so much. I'm really proud of myself for not crying through talking through that, because I've watched my birth vlog 3 times now, I think, and I've cried every time. It's just, when you're watching your own birth, it's crazy. I hope that explained it well enough. The next video is a 24 hours with a newborn. It's only 6 weeks old. He's 9 weeks tomorrow. But obviously my videos are a bit backdated. But after that video that's going to come up after this one, all my videos will be up to date. So yeah, I'm just going to quickly answer them questions that I said. So someone asked, was birth as painful as people say? Yeah. I went into it thinking it wouldn't be as painful as people said. And it was. Some people, everyone's experience is completely different. It depends on your pain tolerance. It depends if you're induced or not. It depends on the position of the baby. It depends on so many different things. So obviously all my contractions were in my back. Some people's contractions are in the belly, so that's a different type of pain. If the baby's in like a good position, it won't hurt as much, whereas he was in an awkward position, which is why I had pain in between contractions. So it completely depends. It was even more painful for me as well, because I had forceps. So if you have like a forceps delivery, it's probably going to be more painful than when you're just having a natural birth. There's loads of factors that go into it. You can't really say because everyone's birth is so different, but they're the main factors that sort of determine how painful it would be. So yeah. How long was your labour? So my contractions started being consistent at 12 o'clock and I gave birth at 2:43 the next night, so about 14 hours, I'd say. 14 hours in like labour, but about 2 hours in established, like in proper labour to an hour. Yeah, so it was really fast. Someone asked, how did you decide his name? I'd heard it and seen it, looking through the baby name lists. I had 100 names for girls, but for boys I had nothing. I know I wanted something different, and I'd found the name Quincy before, but I thought nothing was sticking really. And then we went for tea to my mum's and we were looking through names again, and Mum went, what about Quincy? And me and Jemiah looked at each other and was like, actually I do quite like that. And anyway, when I mentioned the name to a few people, and then they told me about Quincy Jones, who's a music producer. He worked with like Michael Jackson, like really big artists, like Dr. Dre. So I liked the fact that he was like a big, well-known, he was like a musician. So I've just come to, ignore the Moses basket and the messy room, but I've just come to editing the video and realised that the whole last bit of the video cut me off. So that's great. So I'm just doing that little bit now. I can't even remember what I was saying, but I was saying something about how I found his name. So, oh my god. So, yeah, Quincy, we found it on like a boys list of names, and then obviously I looked into the name a bit more, found the producer Quincy Jones, who was associated with like really famous musicians and artists. So I liked that sort of, like that it was like known for that reason, that name, because every time I say his name everyone's like, oh, Quincy Jones. So yeah, that's another reason. And also we wanted to include Jemiah's dad's name in Quincy's name, and whether it be a middle name or a double-barrelled first name, which Jemiah's dad's name is Lee. Jemiah's dad passed away when he was younger, so we wanted to incorporate his name, so we used Lee as in Quincy Lee to be Quincy's first name, so it's Quincy Lee is his first name. Obviously every time we say his name we don't say Quincy Lee, but that is his first name, double barreled together. But yeah, I think that's all I was saying in the last part of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I was saying, they are a bit all backdated. This is being posted a week late because of editing issues and stuff, so anyway, sorry about that. This is being posted a week late, but they'll be back to normal every week on a Tuesday now. So yeah, Mr. Sicky man, I haven't been able to get him dressed. Every time I got him dressed he's been sick, so he's in a blanket until he stops being sick. Yeah, it's quite warm anyway, isn't it? Are you warm? Hello. He's got a nappy on. Hello. So yeah, I'll leave the video there. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you again next Tuesday.